This just in, a Correctional Services officer based at the Estcourt prison is about to be suspended. It follows the leaking of several pictures of former President Jacob Zuma inside the facility. Zuma is expected to spend the next 2 weeks quarantining there before being moved to another correctional center or another unit within the center. For more on this, I'm joined by Correctional Services spokesperson Singabakho Nxumalo. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So let's start with this leaked SD card, which eventually saw those images of Jacob Zuma being processed out in social media. What's the latest move in terms of holding someone responsible?
A very good evening, and thank you for having us. It is something that really disturbed us because those photos were taken clearly for our institutional filing purposes, and they were not meant for circulation at all. And the manner in which they were stolen from the gadget that the official was using, the intent was very clear that this was someone who wanted by all costs to get something out of whatever that we're doing in that particular facility. Hence, as a department, we needed to act quite quickly, and we've done that. Even the preliminary investigation, we know we do have the name of the person who stole the SD card, and we had to then go and open a criminal case with the South African Police Services. But also as a department, we are investigating the matter, and the official involved has been served with a contemplation notice for suspension. So it basically says, give us reasons why we should not suspend you, and thereafter then action will be taken. But it's something which really disturbed us because those photos were not meant for circulation, and they will not even go down well with the person consent. Hence, as a department, we needed to then go to Mr. Zuma and explain what has just happened.
Yeah. So tell me more about the position of this official, because I know you won't be able to name them.
We will not name the official, but it's someone within the communications unit. It's the only official who was obligated to carry a camera for a specific reason. And then hence it's so unfortunate because even this official was taken by surprise when he realized that, you know what, this is what has just happened. And then but it was clear that, you know, we need to take action, and we need to act quickly. But we said we leave no stone unturned because we need to explore all means, and then this person responsible, you know, must be taken to task, including our official, for one of the things, you know, an act of negligence. And also, if perhaps there are other, you know, players involved, you know, we need to do so. But more than that, to call upon, you know, members of the public to say, please do not circulate these images. It's illegal to have them, you know, in your gadgets, so that we can protect, you know, those people that are easily identifiable in them.
And in terms of the action taken against this official, you're following the processes. You have written to this person asking why they should not be suspended. So when will this process be finalized?
The Liberation Act is very clear. You need to contemplate a person to say, give us reasons why you should suspend you, and then you give this person a due date to say, we expect to hear from you before this particular date. Then thereafter, the process will be taken forward. And we have to handle that internally. But to us, we said that is not enough. Hence, we've even gone to the South African Police Service, you know, to open a criminal case, because that's not just theft of a gadget, but it's also theft of information, and that is state information. So it's a serious offense. And as a department, we are not taking this lightly. It's something that we'll even want to use it to teach other people to say, if you engage in such things, you may not think you are trying to launch your career, but in actual fact, you know, you are being a criminal because you are committing a criminal offense.
How do you actually ensure that pictures are not taken of the former president in the facility? Because we know, and you and I have spoken about this previously, that staff are doing all sorts of dodgy things in prison, and sometimes it's recorded. So it's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
It's all about preventing contrabands from making their way into our centers, and also our officials playing their role. other people like contractors, from transporting, these contrabands, because it is not only cell phones, money, dacha, and other forms of substances which are taken to us, and there's a whole lot of things. And during COVID, lockdown, various levels, it came clear to us that there were no visits to our correctional facilities, but continuously we'll find these contrabands. And we could see that, perhaps the major players here is our own officials, and we caught some of them, taken action against some of them. Others will try to delay the inevitable, by means of not attending to hearings, but eventually, we will close down on them. So it's something that we continuously push even to those outside to say, you are not assisting your relative by buying him or her airtime when he's behind bars, because that person is not supposed to be using a mobile phone. In actual fact, you're assisting that person to continually, perpetuate crime, offending other people. Hence, then it's important that when you pick up that you have a relative who's behind bars, but is contacting you through a mobile phone to say, how did you get hold of that mobile phone? Because it's an offense. We need to act against this, because a whole lot of things get happen because of these things. Victims get, they are subjected to what we call secondary victimization. Imagine someone who had offended you now calling you to say, who do you think you are? I'm coming for you. And this person, is behind bars. That is really disturbing.
Yeah.
We need to put this thing to an end because it's causing so much harm.
I have to ask you what the former president had for supper, if you can tell me.
No, the ration is well said. The cycle, the 12-day cycle is there. So he got what other inmates, were receiving as well.
So give me an example of what a typical supper is.
There was starch in it, there was fruit, and yes, there was something hot, meaning like tea or coffee.
Okay, so starch, fruit, tea, and coffee. There's been some criticism on social media that the former president is getting preferential treatment in the facility, this despite what the minister had to say, that he was absolutely not. What's the department's reaction to that?
I think people are just being overzealous. Mr. Zuma has been in our care for less than 24 hours. And then for other people to come up to a conclusion that he's receiving preferential treatment, I think that is really, it's far from me. I don't think how is that possible, because we have explained, very frank and in a transparent way to say he is in isolation, as all newly admitted inmates will be isolated, as a precaution for COVID-19. And once that window period has lapsed and cleared, he will then be moved to a general inmate population, and by then would have concluded even the assessment process. We'll know exactly the type of a cell or unit which must incarcerate him, and also having identified other additional needs that we'll have to respond to, or even if it means he has to be moved to another facility, that will be determined by the outcome of that particular assessment. So I don't see how one can then reach a conclusion that someone is benefiting from preferential treatment when we've been behind bars for less than 24 hours. It's unthinkable.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. You better hope none of your officials are taking videos of him getting any preferential treatment, because that'll obviously be leaked to the media. Appreciate it. That is Singabakho Nxumalo, Correctional Services spokesperson.